My name is Creed and welcome to Riders Blockbuster. In today's breakdown, we are going over the horror comedy vampire western called Sundown. This movie is fun and weird and gives us some Bruce Campbell at his absolute best. So raise a glass of synthetic blood and load your pistols with wooden rounds as we talk about what happens in Sundown, the vampire in retreat. Also, there will be spoilers in this breakdown, so you've been warned. And if you like videos like this, then consider subscribing, because great film is what this channel is all about. For centuries, the vampire has had to feed on human blood to survive. Hunted by day, hunting by night. But as times change and history evolves, so must the vampire. Realizing this, the powerful and righteous Count Marduak has led the last remaining vampires into hiding somewhere out west. There, they are to teach themselves to stop killing humans, with the eventual hope of one day living in perfect harmony amongst them. Armed with sunblock, UVA/B protected glass, and nourished with fake blood from a synthesizing plant that will not work without the help of a human, the true test of the vampire's brave new world is about to begin. We open to see two sisters playing around. We learn that one is completely obsessed with vampires, which the mother seems to actually encourage. The father hopes that their upcoming trip to a town called Purgatory will hopefully get the blood lovers off of her mind. We then cut to the desert, where we see three old gentlemen known as the Bisbee brothers manning a gas station. A rambunctious Jeep driver shows up demanding gas, and one of the three men says that he's coming. He slathers himself with sunblock and dons a sombrero before rushing out to help the driver. However, the driver is quite rude. He constantly mocks the older man, and as a result, the old man walks over and punches the driver's head off.
Now look what you've gone and done. I'm sorry, but he got me pissed!
One of the brothers drives through the town, shouting that the townsfolk no longer need to keep a low profile because the human that was coming through is no more. As the family from before is driving towards Purgatory, we learn that the father is named David and the mother is named
Sarah
dated a man who lives in Purgatory, and David has been called in to help fix the blood serum synthesizing plant as the quality of the synthetic blood has regressed significantly. Meanwhile, the eldest Bisbee brother meets with the town's second in command, named Jefferson, about the Jeep driver's murder. He's ordered to bring in his brother to jail, where he will have to stay for the time being. David arrives in Purgatory, and they introduce themselves to the only policeman in town, whose name is Quentin Canada.
Easiest job in town, man. No drunks, no tourists, no crime.
And we learn that David's daughters are named Gwendolyn and Juliet. Inside the town's general store, we meet Anna and Otto and learn that this whole town is now committed to the production of blood. The family leaves, heading to their rented mansion, but the shopkeepers notice two other humans enter the town. These two are friends of the Jeep driver and saw the Bisbee brother kill the other man. They find the policeman who has the Bisbee brother in custody and is bringing him to jail at that very moment. They tell Quentin what they saw, and he abruptly arrests them with no explanation. That night, another out-of-towner is driving near the town when his engine breaks down and he's forced to start walking. We then see two bats having a conversation. They say that their plan is ready to enact before one flies away. The bat flaps to the mansion and into Sarah's open window. It begins to attack her, but when she screams, Gwendolyn and Juliet open the door. Juliet sees the bat as a man, but the others just don't. It quickly flies away after the girls arrive. Jefferson arrives at a nearby club and begins to recruit some new members for his personal coven. As they fly away, we learn that the only thing that can kill these vampires are beheadings and stakes to the heart. So they have very few weaknesses. We see the rest of his coven and learn that he will be attacking Purgatory the following night. The man from before arrives at the gas station the next morning. He asks for a ride into town, but the Bisbee brothers are less than helpful and contentedly watch as the man walks away. Juliet tries to convince the rest of the family of what she saw, claiming that there must be a vampire around, but nobody seems to believe her. David heads off to work on the plant. The man he meets is the same vampire that we saw the night before, and we learn that his name is Shane, and that he's also the same man that Sarah used to date before she married David. The mysterious man arrives at the local diner and is helped by a waitress named Sandy. They each eye each other and are both quite bashful once they talk. He orders a coffee, and when Sandy comes back, he shows her a picture asking if she's seen the man in the photo. The picture is of a vampire and she shushes him, saying that that is someone named Count Marjulak. She gives him a note telling the man to meet him later for more information, and the man leaves. David is able to fix the issues with the blood plant, noting that Shane personally made an error that had nearly halted production. Shane continues to antagonize David, and when he tries to punch him, Shane throws the man over his head. He leans down and tells David that he slept with his wife and he believes that Juliet is his child. Sandy heads over to the jailhouse to feed the prisoners, and they're told that the only option for them to go free is going to be either death or conversion, but she leaves without giving more details. When Juliet and Gwendolyn are playing, they hit a globe and a secret tunnel opens up in the mansion. They head inside and find a coffin. A man rises up, scaring the girls, but he doesn't seem very concerned. They rush out and close the tunnel before running to tell their mom what they saw. When they enter the next room, the man is standing there. He introduces himself as Joseph Marjulak, the owner of the town, and says that he was working in the secret tunnel that connects his personal mansion and the one that they rented out to the family. Sarah is quite charmed by the man and apologizes for her daughter's disruption. He says it's no problem and heads back through the secret tunnel. Sandy meets up with the mysterious man. He introduces himself as Robert Van Hell, though it's apparent that he didn't give his full name for some mysterious reason. Sandy comes on really strong. Robert wants to talk about the photo again, but she pushes it aside and leans in for a kiss. Just before their lips meet, Robert sees that Sandy has no reflection in the hubcap of her car. He punches her and holds a stake over her heart, but stops when she pleads and says that she wasn't going to bite him and just wanted to feel the touch of a man again. He ties her up, and they hear sirens in the near distance, and both hike up to get a look at what's going on. Shane and Quentin meet in a clearing, and Shane says that he's doing personal work for Jefferson. When Quentin tries to shut them down, Shane pulls out a gun and shoots the policeman in the chest. He falls down dead, which was shocking until we find out that they have developed wooden bullets. Robert asks Sandy about what's going on in Purgatory and learns that it is a town full of vampires, but when she tries to explain that the town has sworn off of human blood, he doesn't listen. She begs him to take her into town so that they can warn the others about Shane and Jefferson, and they head off in the other direction. David goes back to the mansion and confronts Sarah about what Shane said. He asks if Juliet is his daughter, and she admits that she doesn't know for sure. David storms off, yelling that he's going to leave the town. Sarah follows David outside and begs him to forgive her, and he says that he loves her. The townsfolk continue to get more and more hungry as they stare at their human prisoners. It's funny to see the progression as they go from kind of hungry to straight up desperate for a taste of human blood. At one point, they nearly act on their wants, but Juliet and Gwen show up and they begin to suddenly act casual. Once the girls are out of sight, the townsfolk begin to move and surround the jail. Just before they break in, Marjulak arrives. He gives a speech calling out the townsfolk. He reminds them where they all came from, saying that most of them have killed innocent children and they promise to live in Purgatory peacefully. He then reminds them that he is the oldest and strongest and fastest of them all, and if they want to fight, they will have to beat him personally, which none of them believe that they can do. Marjulak then goes into the jail and tells the Bisbee brother that he will need to be punished. The usual punishment is death, but Marjulak is forgiving and says that the brother will need to stay in jail for another night, and that will serve as his punishment. Suddenly, the shopkeeper bursts in, saying that one of the daughters from out of town has seen a vampire and he quickly exits. David and Sarah are ready to leave the town, so they drive around looking for their daughters. As they drive, they see the girls in the passing car and flip around to follow. As the sun falls, Jefferson goes to his coven and tells them that it's time. They fly out towards Purgatory. Robert and Sandy then arrive at Marjolaire's home. Robert tells her his plan to take out the Count, but is interrupted when a car arrives. The Count has arrived home, quickly pursued by David and Sarah. When they ask why he has their daughters, he is very kind and says that he just wanted to talk about Juliet's dreams and invites them all to join. Jefferson passes out guns with wooden bullets to all of his followers, and they shoot in the air in hoopla. Inside Marjolaire's home, Juliet tells the man about a dream that she had about an upcoming war. She tells him that Shane and Jefferson were in the dream and that she saw Marjolaire die. While Robert is listening, Sandy knocks him through the skylight and he crashes the party. Robert shares that his full name is Robert Van Helsing and he is Van Helsing's grandson. Before he can strike, Sandy drops in and grabs him by the neck to stop him. She begs the Count not to hurt the man, and the Count is pleased because this proves that a human and a vampire could potentially live together. David and the family are given leave to go and are told to run out of town as quickly as possible. He turns to Robert and asks what they should do with him, and Sandy asks the Count permission to do something. He nods his approval, and Sandy bites the man. Jefferson's coven arrives at the gas station and kill the two Bisbee brothers. They blow up the station and head into town. Before the family can leave the town, Jefferson's coven arrives. David crashes into the shop, and Anna and Otto lead them somewhere safe. We then cut to the jail and see that the Bisbee brother has bitten the two former humans, turning them both into vampires. They leave the jailhouse and join the rest of the town in confronting the intruding coven. David and his family are told to run as fast as they can to the mansion, as it is the only safe place for them. Jefferson screams at the townsfolk to join him or die. Most of them deny the man, saying that they could easily take the younger vampires on, but a few of the townsfolk join the invaders. They then open fire, and the vampires are shocked to see that the bullets they are shooting are somehow lethal against them. They flee into the blood plant, arming themselves with stakes and trying to hold out as best as they can. They make a phone call to Marjolaire, where we see Robert has been turned into a vampire. He screams and throws his cross off of him as it was burning his chest, before Sandy then welcomes him to his new life. Marjolaire announces that war has come and heads out to help his town. The townsfolk are able to catch a few of the invaders off guard and arm themselves with their guns. As more break in, a full-on shootout begins. Bullets fly and vampires die on both sides in the chaos. Shane is only concerned about Juliet and Sarah, and not seeing them, he leaves and rides off to find them. The family hasn't made it far, and Shane easily catches up. All seems lost, but Marjolaire and his posse arrive with crossbows in hand. Unfortunately, the rest of Jefferson's coven also shows up, having ravaged most of the town. The few surviving townsfolk show up just in time, and then the firefight begins. David sends his family away on horseback and arms himself with a crossbow. He fires at Shane and hits him in the leg, but the man doesn't stop. Sarah and her daughters have gotten to the mansion, and Sarah tells her daughters to go to the secret tunnel and hide just before Shane shows up. Marjolaire is forced to flee back to his mansion with the rest of his followers, including David. David is horrified to see Shane's horse tied up at the doorstep and knows that the man is somewhere near his family. He is given a gun, and Robert gives him a bottle of holy water, and he is led to the secret passage moments before the invaders catch up. Shane corners Sarah and threatens to make her a vampire, but David bursts in just in time. Sarah breaks away and David shoots. Shane goes still for a moment, but he was faking as David missed his heart. He jumps to his feet and throws David down, holding him by the neck. David then pulls out the bottle of holy water and pours it on Shane's neck. It sizzles and the vampire begins to melt. David then places his gun directly to Shane's chest and shoots.
In the heart, Shane. In the heart.
お前はもう死んでいる。
Things aren't going well for Marjuluk and the townsfolk. Sandy gets captured and the ammo is all running low. With Sandy being threatened, Marjuluk orders his followers to drop their weapons and surrender. Marjuluk then challenges Jefferson to a one-on-one. It turns out that they are the same age, so they should have the same strength and speed. Jefferson agrees, and they each strap on a gun belt and are ready for a real cowboy showdown. In the meantime, David goes berserk, smashing every wooden thing he can before throwing it all onto the roof of the mansion. Marjuluk and Jefferson lock eyes, but Marjuluk is faster on the draw. He then reveals that he is actually much older than anyone knows, and that Marjuluk is not his real name, and that he is really
Count Dracula.
Unfortunately, his gun clicks empty. The invaders raise their weapons, but a shadow on the roof suddenly overtakes them. David raises a cross that he made from all of the wood. It forces the vampires to their knees and begins to melt them. Dracula and his followers are shocked to realize that they are not being affected by the cross. As the invaders die, Dracula cries, praising God and saying that he and his followers have been forgiven. Dracula says that there is a long road ahead, but he believes that the vampires and humans can live together peacefully someday, and David and his family leave the town of Purgatory behind. And that is where the movie ends. Combining a vampire movie with a Western was something I never realized that I needed to see. Sundown doesn't take itself too seriously, the horror elements are light, and the characters are so over the top that it's almost believable that some of them could be hundreds of years old. The story itself is far more Western than vampire, but using vampiric tropes and characters like freaking Dracula and Van Helsing was such a fun way to enhance the story. I will say, this movie is far from perfect. David's story and the Sarah-Shane relationship seemed like a bit of an afterthought, and Juliet being Shane's daughter was something that was mentioned but didn't really deliver anything that I would call necessary. But a twisty-turny and critically acclaimed script is definitely not what you should watch this movie for. Sundown is worth watching for the town of Purgatory and the vampires themselves. The way that they interact and live in this modern world, trying to trick humans into not suspecting what they are and attempting to live alongside them, was hilarious and very well done. The way that the townsfolk all lived with one another and commented throughout was great and really made it feel like they were all people from a small town that had known each other for years on end. Bruce Campbell definitely adds to the charm of the film as well, giving us some really fun performances that felt similar to the way that he fought his own hand in Evil Dead, or like everything that he did in Army of Darkness. His goofy and bashful character was something that I immediately enjoyed and was excited to see more of as the movie progressed. Sundown was recommended to me, and it definitely has my recommendation as well. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next one. And if you'd like to see more breakdowns like this one, then check out the 80s breakdown playlist. But yeah, if your gas station attendant ever slathers on sunblock and comes out wearing a far too large hat, then be sure to be extra polite. Bye-bye.
Tell me you like my hat.
You're not wearing a hat.
Say it. Say you like my hat.
You're not wearing a hat.
Say it.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.